Coming up on the Rawder Kidula Show.
If there's no conflict, there's someone who's pretending. Yeah. Someone is pretending. You cannot agree on everything.
Coming up.
The other challenge that I have seen over the years is that we read all these marriage books that are written from the West.
Coming up.
Marriage has to be their priority. We need to have date nights. So we went to Kangaliana. So we have to have a good time. Yeah.
But our mind.
Then we just said, are you missing the baby? I said, yes, I'm missing the baby. Are you missing the baby? Yes. So what are we doing here? We're heading home. We quickly packed for us the food. We went, got our baby who is now 24, put him in the bed next to us, and then we had our date there.
Coming up.
And the man who marries a woman divorced from her husband commits adultery. As in, he repeats again. Commits adultery. Commits adultery. Present. Continuous. So for me, it's not for me to tell you what to do. Wewe chagua vile unataka kufanya. Heaven si kwangu.
Welcome back or welcome to the Rodah Kidula Show. In this space, we tell you about the good side of marriage. We surprise you that people have been married for 20, 10, 30, 50 years and they are still in healthy relationships in these marriages. The world will not tell you that every day. That's why we are here to remind you that marriage is still God's idea. It is still working when God is in it. So welcome. My name is Rawder Kidula. As we record this, I've been married for 6 years, almost 7 years. And every time I say that, I need like dancers, people to just celebrate because it is work, but it actually works. Today, we are honored to have the Kyamas, right? The Kyamas are on set today, and this is not the first time for one, but it's the first time for the other. And funny enough, I met Bishop before I met you. When I was in school, he used to come to Daystar for our conferences, and that is the day we would all show up, whether we are born again, we love Jesus or not, because wow, you are blessed. And we thank God for that ministry. Most of us got to be very serious in our walk of salvation because of God using you to come to preach to us. So what we do on this show is that we introduce one another. Okay. So who will go first? Yes, please introduce this beautiful woman to us.
Yeah, so my wife is called Carole, and she's born again. We work together. We serve together at the River of God Church, which is an Assemblies of God congregation. And we've been in this particular congregation for the last 16 years. God has blessed us with 3 children. Yeah, and we've been married, had I said that? 27 years now.
10 years.
Yes. Yeah.
What's her personality like?
What's her personality? She's a firstborn, and so she is strong-willed, and she speaks out her mind, but she's also quick to say sorry. And she likes to cook. She likes to try new things. And so every season, we have different kinds of cuisines, whether it's Indian or Mediterranean or African. So it just depends on what is
You're blessed.
burning in her heart. And then we will go that direction for a season. But she really, really likes to cook and bake.
Is it true that that is the way to a man's heart?
I think every human being, I don't think there's anyone who likes bad food. It doesn't matter whether you're a toddler or a 90-year-old. Everybody likes good food. Yeah. And good food brings joy in the heart of everyone. And so I believe that a good meal will cheer anyone up, not just men. Anyone, women, children, Everyone loves good food. I'm sure you, Sunday afternoon, there are places where your children love to go. And, and chances are it relates to food. Yeah, whether it's fast food or, and it just warms their heart. If you tell them on a weekday, just come home, it's a school day, and you surprise them and say, what, let's go to this place. Their faces will light up. It will be their best day. Yeah, so.
Any human's heart, right?
Yeah.
What is she
food.
passionate about?
She's passionate about education. She likes to read. She's passionate about leadership among young people. And she's passionate about families and children, and especially parents bringing their children to the space of discipleship, because there are many of us tend to go for fellowship at different places, whether it's a couple's meeting, a fellowship in the estate. So we are always going to fellowships as couples, but in most cases, most people leave their children at home. And she keeps saying, if we are committed to raising discipling the next generation, we need to bring these children into, whether it's the couples meetings, estate fellowships, whatever community fellowships that we are going to, and we are going to talk about God. It's important that we don't leave our children behind, we bring them along.
Yeah, even to church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your turn.
My turn.
Who is this gentleman?
Wow, he's done well. This is Tony Kiama. Tony is born again. He loves the Lord. He loves us. I can testify of that. He loves us. And yeah, he's my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He really is. I've known him for quite a while. We've been married 27 years, as you said, but we dated 2 years before that. So looking back, I think I know him longer than I've ever known or lived with somebody else. Yeah, so 27 is not a short time.
Mm-hmm. What does he do?
He's a pastor. He's my boss. Can you believe that? Not just at home, even at work. He's the lead pastor at the River of God Church, which is a Kenya Assemblies of God congregation that meets in Parklands, between the junction of Chiromo Lane and Ojiji Road. He's a father, and he does that very well. And he is a proponent for truth and integrity. Yeah. So before you ask me the next question, the next question, which is about his passion, I think he's very passionate about just living a life of integrity and truth. And he does speak out a lot about that. He's also very passionate about family. And I think one of his pet peeves, I know one of his pet peeves is people who are not, I'd say, passionate about their wives. He's very big on that. He believes that whatever space you've been called to as a Christian and you have a wife and you have kids, then that is a space not just for you, but for all of you together. And I've seen that modeled in his life. Like when we were youth pastors, he was a youth pastor when we met, and the children came, he always created room for them. And so wherever we have served, people know that we come as a package. He comes with his wife and comes with his kids. And I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, yeah.
You've said he stands for the truth, and he is bold. I know he is very bold. Does it scare you? I have jumped.
No.
Yeah.
No, does it scare me? Sometimes it does. I wouldn't use the word scare. I'd say maybe a little bit concerned sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I think honestly, I prayed for a person who would know who they are and who would have passion for something, because I really believe if there's nothing that you are willing to die for, if you have nothing to die for, you really have nothing to live for. And so I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm just glad that he's a person with strong convictions, and he's willing to step out to those convictions. And I know that out there he comes out as a very bold and courageous person, but I know it's of concern to him because he really does love us. And sometimes he's worried that, it's like being a prophet where God has given you this word to say and it's burning within you. You cannot not say it. but also you're concerned because you realize the repercussions may not just affect you, but will affect people you love, will affect your comfort zone. And so I know those things give him sleepless nights and they concern him, but I'm glad that albeit that he loves God more, that he loves God more. Yeah.
Oh, what's his shoe size?
What's his shoe size? 41 and a half? 41, 42 there.
Favorite food?
And nyama choma and chips and ugali. But if it's chips and ugali, chips.
Chips?
Yes.
Oh, color?
Blue.
Okay. She has passed. She hasn't paused for a minute. Before we know how you met, there's something that is happening on 25th and 26th at River of God.
Oh, yes. On the 25th and 26th of July, this year, we will be having our first ever women's conference, and it's dubbed the ROG Refresh Women's Conference. And our theme is God of the Impossible. So we'll be having this on 25th, which is a Friday, and 26th, which is a Saturday. On 25th, we'll be dealing with 3 topics. We have Facing the Giants, which are stories of resilience and redemption. And it talks about the areas that, women are going through and some of the things they struggle with, loss of a spouse, loss of a child, addiction, and things like that. And so we have women coming to share their stories. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about money. Because, women, we just like to save and to know our children will be taken care of after we've gone. And a lot of us are not very financially literate. So we'll give them an opportunity to hear how best to utilize their money, how they can save, what they can invest in, and things like that. And then in the afternoon, we'll be having a session called Forging Forward. And in this session, we'll be talking about how do you balance life and work? How do you take care of yourself as a woman, even as you take care of your family? And what is, we are living in a time where people are so stressed. So we'll talk a little bit about mental health and how do you protect yourself and take care of yourself so that you don't burn out. And then on Saturday, we'll have Mothers of Faith. I'm really looking forward. And we have some of the people who have gone ahead of us as women of faith, and they'll be coming to share their stories. And then we will honor them. We will just reward them for the work that they have done and ask them to pray for us who are coming after, right? And then in the afternoon, we'll give women a time to come and experience God. And I'm trusting God. I mean, it is God of the impossible, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trusting God that when you come, you will encounter God.
Amen.
Because we can talk about God, we can tell you about God, but it's different when you encounter God for yourself. So we'll have a time of worship where we just, we welcome the Holy Spirit to come and do that which only God can be able to do. And that will be how we'll culminate the conference. And so I want to take this opportunity, if I may, to invite each one of you to come. Please come with your mother, come with your sister, come with your daughter. We're not discriminating against age. We're not discriminating against anything. You just, so long as you're biologically female, that is, I think, is the only bias. You need to be biologically female. You're welcome to just come and spend time with God. Come and spend time with God.
It's absolutely free.
It is absolutely free. We will have snacks on sale, but it's absolutely free. And so there's no reason for you not to come. And we're planning to organize for people where we will be, if you look at our media online platforms or you come to our website, we will explain to you how to get to church. We're trying to organize so that if you get yourself to town, then you will get transport to be able to come to the church.
Oh, nice. And check the first comment on this video for a link that you need to register. Yes, please, women, register, invite other women, copy that link and send to all women WhatsApp groups that you have so that we all gather. I'm so glad because I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to be there for the 2 days because I also want to encounter God in that way. When women come together, beautiful things happen. So you are welcome. Please watch this clip for more information.
Hi, my name is Reverend Carole Kiama, and I want to take this opportunity to invite you to our first ladies' conference ever at the River of God Church, dubbed the ROG Refresh Women's Conference 2025. It will be a 2-day conference on the 25th and 26th of July 2025, and our theme is God of the Impossible. We will have ladies from different walks of life coming to talk about their journeys of resilience, and some of the ladies who will be speaking include Mrs. Susan Waitito, Dr. Emily Obwaka, who will be sharing her stories on addiction, have Nancy Muthoni, Mrs. Kambua Matthew, who will be talking about child loss, And then after that, we'll have another session on finances and financial freedom. Finally, the third session will be about forging forward, balancing work, life, and self-care. On the 26th, which will be the Saturday, we will have women of faith who have had a long season. We'll have Bishop Josephine Kitonga, we'll have Mama Ada Adoyo, we'll have Mrs. Rebecca Tumising, Reverend Judy Mbogwa, Mrs. Margaret Bunde Randa, and our very own Reverend Dinah Kitoto. Finally, in the afternoon, we will have our worship experience, a time when we can come and actually encounter God. And we're looking forward to just coming and having God refresh us anew, having God fill us afresh, and having God empower us to be able to go and do the task that He has given us to do. It doesn't matter about your age, whether you're young or you're old, whether you're retired, you're still working, you're a young mother, you're single, there is something there for you. And the event is free. Totally free. We're not charging you a thing. You can come with your mother, you can come with your sister, you can come with your daughter. Just make sure you come. See you there. God bless you. Bye.
Yes, so see you there, and remember to say hi when you come. Well, now we need to know who saw who first.
Okay. Let's talk about how we saw each other.
Oh, you saw each other.
Because the very first time I saw him, I was walking to go to the shops with a friend of ours. We just moved to this hood, and I was going to the shop with my friend. And so I see this group of young guys. But then I was naive. I really didn't know what they were doing. Later, I realized that they were smoking weed. But at that time, I didn't know. I was a believer. So I see, and then this good-looking young man comes to me and says, Sasa, are you going to the shops? I'm like, yeah. He's like, bring for me chocolate. Okay. And I was like, wow, I was blown away. And then when we were, and my friend was just standing there stoic like a stone. So when we passed, she told me, I told him, who's that guy? She told me, let me tell you, I don't want to see you ever talking to that guy. That guy is a devil.
Oh.
And she said, I'm not passing by here again. And because this was somebody I looked up to, she's a very good friend of mine, Eva, if you're watching, I listened. And so we didn't choose that route, and that was the last time I saw him until years later when he came to the church to say hi. So that's how I saw him.
Please, tell us exactly what you were doing. The group of men.
I vaguely remember that.
Oh.
But we met in church. So the second time we met, I knew that this is a girl who lives in the same estate as me. We lived in the same estate. And so we met in church. So I was excited. I got saved. So I went and told her, hey, I got saved. Yeah, and that's how things began.
That's how you remember meeting me the first time.
And so after that, we both were very involved in church. And so there was this move to begin home fellowships. And there was, at that point, it was not possible for it to be hosted in my house. So I asked her if she could. And so she said, because I was in Bible school then, if I could talk to her dad. And so I asked her dad if we could have the fellowship there, and he agreed.
And the weird thing is my dad was not born again. So I think he was so shocked. I think a part of me telling him to go see my dad was just kind of put him off so that we don't have the fellowship at my house.
Yeah.
But God had different plans. Yeah.
So that's how you knew each other?
Yes, so we met in churches.
Uh-huh. Why her? Why did you, I presume you asked her out at some point?
Yeah, much later. We were in this fellowship together, and I was the leader and she was the assistant, and she would lead worship. I was in Bible school. And while in Bible school, of course, there was that thought, so where do I go from here? As in the kind of wife I would want as a pastor. And so it's out of that, the fact that, among many, she stood out because of her love and her commitment to the things of God, her desire to serve, and just desiring that others would find, salvation, desiring to lead others to Christ. That it was a way of life. Yeah, she wasn't just saved on Monday on Sunday, and then Monday to Friday. So I had time to observe because we were in the same fellowship. And so that's what initially appealed to me. Of course, later on now, I start noticing other things. That, this guy is actually
Such
quite
a short
pretty.
version.
I know.
It's quite pretty and also sharp. Not perfect, but yes.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Why did you say yes?
Okay, he's given such an abridged version, so I'm like, where do I start? But again, we got to observe each other. My first impression was that he's quite intense. Now, I had been a believer for a long time. I gave my life to Jesus Christ when I was 13. And so there's some things that I grew up with and I had not experienced much of the world. So I think I took it kind of like for granted. And there are things that I never thought were wrong. And I used to find him like, so, oh my gosh, everything is sin. This guy is so intense. And by that time, I was seeing somebody else and I was just living my life. But then because we started to be in fellowship together, we were meeting at my place, and then eventually it moved over to his place. And so I got to observe him. I liked the way he treated her at that time. I was really praying for them to get married, which is a story of another day. And when that now didn't work, I liked the way he held himself. And then his dad passed away, and I was the assistant leader. So we got to spend quite some time together. Yeah, during that time when his dad was sick, and then planning the funeral and all that. And just, so I got to know him beyond this very intense guy who was all about evangelism. I think I just used to see him very one-dimensional. And so I was like, hey, this guy, man, okay, it's good. It's good you love Jesus and all that. But I used to find him very intense, almost scary, because I don't know, I guess then I got to start seeing the human side of him and to realize this guy has a crazy sense of humor and that is fun. And then we were doing youth ministry together, Cindy. We were serving this same pastor. So the one thing that stands out for me is this time we played a joke on the pastor. Now, Tony can't sing to save his life, and we have a friend who's a fantastic singer. So, and we had all been making fun of the fact that he cannot sing. So this time we do like a skit. And he's singing, he's mouthing, for those of you who can remember Milivanili, he's mouthing the words, and my friend is singing behind. And the pastor was like, wow. And I thought, oh, this guy looks like he's so much fun. I mean, things like that. And so by the time now he was coming to ask me to be his girlfriend, I was thinking, yeah. But I think both of us were at a different space. I was thinking, yes, we'll date. And then if it doesn't work out, see. But I remember I knew he was very intense. So when he asked me at first, I was scared. And I think I almost said no. I was like, I'm just saying yes to be your girlfriend. It doesn't mean I'm saying yes to be your wife. And he's like, I know what I want. And clearly he did. Because here we are, 27
years later.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. We didn't even say that.
Thank you.
Especially in today's world, that for me is an achievement. Some people say marriage is not. I believe it is.
It is.
Because of the work that it
grace.
entails. Yeah, and it's actually by the grace of God. I want to talk about your first year of marriage.
Okay.
What do you remember about your first year? How was it?
It would be a lie if I say I remember much.
First year.
We got married in August.
And after 1 year, you got sick.
And yeah, so life just happened. We were in ministry.
In ministry, we had friends. We were always going to Kyamas.
And she was working in the bank. And so it was busy. It was busy because youth ministry is event driven.
Yeah.
So I think what I can remember is that we had to be intentional because she's working, and
in school, finishing school.
I'm finishing school because we got married one semester before I finished. Halfway through, just before I finished Bible school, yes. Yeah, I think 3 months.
Until we finish school.
Yeah, I think for me, I had told God, if this is you, then make a way. Yeah, before I finish. Because if I finish, then I get a job, then...
Oh, so you didn't even have a job?
No. I was in Bible school. I was a student in Bible school, and she was working in the bank.
Where did you find the courage to marry?
I think for me, it was a step of faith. God, if this is you, then you will make it happen. He's a God of the impossible. He will make it happen when, during the school holidays. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also want to know where you got the courage.
Where I got the
Today's
courage.
young woman.
I think it's what you're looking for. Remember, before he went to college, he was a hustler. He hustled. I mean a true hustler. Not like the hustlers we know in this country, but a true hustler. So, and for me, I don't know. We had this conversation, Jana Sindio, and I was telling him, I've never thought of him as not being able to provide for me. Never. Even when he didn't have a job, even now sometimes when he tells me I don't have money, I never really truly believe, because I know that he works hard. And I think I married that. I married knowing that this is a person who would never allow for me and my children to go without, if as much as it was upon him. And I saw that, like I said, I had the opportunity to see him long before he saw me, and when he was still dating somebody else, and he was my friend. So there was no, I didn't have vested interest. I knew they were getting married. So for me, I was like, oh, this guy looks nice. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he takes care of her. I like the way he's so intense about life. They look like they'll be happy and they'll go somewhere. And that was all I was thinking.
Now they are happy.
Little knowing that they are happy and going somewhere. So I never, very honestly, it never even hit my head like that was an issue. Now people ask me that and I wonder, if you love someone, so you've done your esabuz. I did my esabuz. I was like, this guy, he'll take care of us. And that's it. And we will work together. I think for me that having money now to me means nothing. It is the ability to have a dream and to have vision and to know where you're going and to be willing to work towards that. And he already had that. So
you already saw that.
Yeah. And remember, his dad died when he was young. He was 24. Was you 23?
I was in Bible school.
Yeah, like maybe 25 there. 25 is when his dad went. And his parents were separated. His mom was living out of the country. So he had to take care of himself even though he was in Bible school. And I was there in that journey. I saw the times when he did without. And even in that time, this is again Bible school. He is not working, so every meal is a hustle. And he is actually living with other homeless people. He would pick people and live with them and take care of them. And I think that was God just speaking to me so I always felt like whatever I'm getting is just going to come and help him feed into his vision. Yeah, because I used to pick street people and live with them in his house. Some of them robbed him silly, but I could see the heart. And these are big men. They're asking him, akuna maziwa. I used to be so irritated. And it'd be like, oh, okay. And whatever he has, he'll share with them. And he hustled. Yeah. So I knew,
this
because
is
you
it.
can get somebody with a job and with money, and then he loses the job and he doesn't know how to look, or how he's not hardworking. Yeah.
There's no vision.
Yeah.
For the men who are waiting to make it, to be financially stable so that they can marry, what would you tell them?
We all walk different journeys. And it's a personal decision that you make. I wouldn't judge someone who is waiting until they're financially stable. I think it's just your conviction. For me, I got to a place where I decided, this is it. Yeah. It is now or never. Yeah, it was my time, and I had my timelines. And everything else would fit into that timeline. And God would meet me there. Yeah, and he did. There are people who would be very uncomfortable with that. I don't judge them, it's their life. So they will wait maybe into their 30s or, mid or late until they feel they're stable. And that's them. Mine is not right and theirs is not wrong.
Yeah.
It's just different types and different personalities. And so, yeah, so I decided this is it. I'll walk by faith. Nitaamini Mungu na nikaweka mikakati na nikaamini, and the Lord came. Yeah, the Lord came in ways that if I hadn't taken those steps, I would never see God in that light. Yeah, I would never have seen God in that light. And so, like Hagar said, El Rohi, the God who sees me. So I know that he saw me, because there are certain things I knew if he doesn't show up, it wouldn't happen. And so, yeah, we walk different journeys.
Yeah. 27 years later, what would you say has been the most challenging season or year in marriage?
I think, number one, there are 3 schools of thought. That marriage is a place of suffering.
Oh, yeah. And persevering.
Yeah, that's number 1.
Vumilia.
Number 2, there's also a school of thought that marriage is a place of waiting. You know, like you marry a gold digger, and they are there to, you know, to use each other. You get what I'm saying? But also there's also the third, where marriage as God intended for it to be. When you grow up and you live in a family with your brothers and sisters, you love them. Yes. But they are different personalities, even with your parents. I'm sure you love your mom and your dad. You love your children. But they are different. We have 3 children. They are totally and absolutely different. But is it difficult to live with them? No. Is it difficult to grow up with your siblings, whether there is 1 or 10? You learn to navigate the challenges of personality, because hata wewe ni shida kwao. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's not that you are the best one and your 9 other siblings are the bad ones. No, hata wewe una shida tu zako. And so it's in that sense I say marriage is not a walk in the park, but also it's an amazing institution. Yeah, it's an amazing institution. And I think it is a gift and a blessing to be in a marriage. But it's also important to remember that you can walk away from your siblings, but you can't walk away from you can leave your siblings and go to another country and, you know, you just call them when you want. But a marriage, you can't. This is your spouse for life. Where you are, they are. You know, nika hewa. Yeah, and so in that sense, you have to make it work. So at what point was it difficult and at what point is it easy? I don't think there's a season where it's easy or harder. It's just life. Yeah, you go through seasons. You're also growing older, so you are seeing things differently. When you are younger, you have a shorter fuse. You are foolish in many ways. You don't have the wisdom and the time to realize that, you know what, the things we fought about when we were younger, now we don't fight about. We realize, you know, there's more to life than this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't say that there's a season that life was harder, because when the kids were younger, our kids were quite sickly. And so that was a difficult season when we had to take them to school, to hospital, and they were admitted many times. Actually, if I count, they were admitted 17 times for different things. They were quite sickly. But then my season of being sickly also came. And then hers. But I wouldn't say that during that time they were sickly, that it was a challenge. It's just life.
It's life.
It's just life. You know, there are people who go through joblessness. And that's life. Doesn't mean it's hard. It's just doing life and finding joy even in those things. Because we would, even in those seasons in hospital, we would figure out what's the best part of, okay, yes, tuko hosi. How can we make the best out of this situation? And all we would move into hospital, all of us, and live in that, you know, Felicity ward at Gertrude's and make the best out of it. You know, enjoy the food there, the canteen, just make the best.
The playground.
Exactly, because we didn't have a playground then. We lived in a smaller house. So we would enjoy the playground. For that 1 week or 2 weeks we're in a hospital, we would make the best of that season. If a birthday fell there, tutajibambia tu uko hosi. Because, you know, I think there are people who don't have access to healthcare. But we do. So let's celebrate that fact. Yeah. And so we have grown. We have done foolish things. We have dropped the ball here and there. We've had our own share of fights. But here we are.
Yeah.
I would still choose to hang out together with her. We like road trips. Yeah. And our road trips, we use what we have, you know. There were days we did road trips with a smaller car that we would believe God it would break down before we get to
On
where
our
we
way
are
to
going.
Tanzania.
Yeah, on our way to Tanzania for 36 days on a mission. And now our car is not as bad as that one was. And so we enjoy each season, and each season has its challenges, but it also has its blessings. And just making the best. I think that's, and it's an attitude, making the best
Of what you've got.
of what you have
Yeah.
at the season where you
You're
are
in.
at. And remember, there will always be people who are better than you and worse than you. And every time I have felt small is every time I have compared myself with my peers. Naona mazee tungekuwa pale, tungekuwa tunaishi pale, tungekuwa na hii, would have had. But at the point where I realized, just a minute, we are not walking the same. Their life is different from ours. Then I don't feel as bad. Yeah, yes, there are people who are better than us, but there are also people who desire and wish to be us. So it's just making the best of what we have and the challenges that where you are.
And I think that, and it's interesting he said that, because when you ask the question, the first thing I just quickly ran through the years, and I realized that it's actually a choice. You know, looking back, I'm so grateful that from the go-get, first, we are both firstborns. And if you're a firstborn, you kind of know, like, you're kind of used to having your way. So that adjustment was not easy for me. And then he'd been alone for a while. So also adjusting to sharing his space was not necessarily easy for him. And then the kids come, and then the challenges of the children. And then now you're getting into midlife, both of you. And there's the adjustments. And one of the things that I have realized about marriage, because my biggest fear was nitaboeka, you know, like I'll be seeing this face forever, and you know, I mean, you know, you're kind of like stuck.
The face has changed too.
Yeah, that's you know. Also, what I've learned is that you are not static, and so it can never really truly be boring. Because, and I'm just speaking, I guess, to someone out there who's wondering, why would I get married and then sit at tena, sit at, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're both growing and changing and morphing, and what we liked, what we expected, what we enjoyed 27 years ago, 26, 13 years ago, is not necessarily the space we are in. So every day I'm discovering a new side of Tony, you know. I'm discovering a new side of us. And so that keeps, I guess, the excitement going, and also makes you realize that the mountains, if God could see you through certain mountains, then the mountains ahead are not as alarming, but then every new mountain is different. Yeah. So, yeah. But that's not to say it's been easy, but it's also to say that it's not been hard. It's just been life. It's just been life, and getting the opportunity to walk that life with somebody. And one of the things he has taught me is to celebrate small gains. You know, just to celebrate little things. Like if you buy Tony a handkerchief, first he will not use it until he goes to church with it, because hiyo bado anakuanga na vitu za Sunday best. Lazima avalie Mungu hiyo kitu poa, whether ni socks ama handkerchief ama bairo, itaenda church. True? Itaenda church. So that has, and he lives life like that. So it's made me see and appreciate the things that God has given me that I would have otherwise passed by. And so every little thing becomes like a big adventure and something to celebrate and something to enjoy to the max. But sometimes he keeps complaining because I'm always eating food from his plate. But there's a way and he behaves like, it's like his food is different. It's to be celebrated. It is a blessing. And then unaanza kushanga, hiyo waru kweli ilitoka kwa hii plate, you know, because, and it's perspective. It is just having an attitude of gratitude. And I hate those things that us pastors do, you know, those rhymes. But it's true. It's just learning to be grateful, yeah, for every season of your life. And there have been some difficult seasons, they have. But I think when you're enjoying them or going through them or seeing God in them, it's after that season that you look back and wonder, how did we make it?
Oh.
How did we survive this?
Why did you stay?
Why did we stay? Okay, no, I never really asked myself that, to be honest. I don't know. I've never thought, why did I stay?
In the difficult seasons, many people have chosen out. But you've been here, you're still here. Not because it's been easy.
Fear of God.
There's
The
a fear of God.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the fact that beyond him being my husband, at least on my end, he's also my friend. So now I'm thinking of it like double jeopardy. Okay, now I might not be very happy with my husband, but who am I going to go and talk about it with? Because he's also the one who's my best friend. So I then have to make the decision to sit down and say, listen, Tony, my friend, I'm so pissed off with you as Tony, my husband, and we need to deal with this. And then by nature, me, by the way, I just like talking about it. Easy kubeba is annoying. But of course, there have been times when I felt like, will we really be able to make it through this mountain? And then now you go back to God and say, you know what, I don't think I have the ability to forgive, or whether it's myself or him or us, you need to help me. But remember, we don't get married to just have a good time. Marriage is a testimony. It should be a tool for evangelism where people can look and see what God can do with two imperfect people who love him. And if I cannot have grace for him, God has forgiven me so much. And it's something I have to talk to myself every day, because the issues of your partner look so much bigger than your own issues. You always feel like you're the victim. I don't know about men, but I know for us women. And so I have to keep reminding myself, what is this that Tony has done that is so bad that I cannot forgive him if God has forgiven me? And then asking myself, ultimately, my responsibility here is to go to heaven, to help him get to heaven, and to take our children to heaven. So I'm not going to throw him under the bus, because he needs to make it as well. Yeah, and then that, and then of course the final thing is that there's nothing that he has ever really, really done that has been so bad that I think it has justified my wanting to leave him. Yeah. I mean, of course, kuna ile ya umekasirika, I'm not going to take this. But kuna ile ya enyewe, this is so big that I must go. I don't think he's
You've
ever
gotten there.
Hajikonifikisha hapo.
Oh.
Ama nishaiko kufikisha hapo na sijui. Niko tu hapa happily married by myself.
Happily married single woman. There's that title nowadays.
Yeah, happily married single woman.
What's the most challenging part about being a husband? Is it as easy as I think? I think men just sit cooked for
and washed for clothes.
Others even get to the day's clothes arranged for them.
What's the hardest part of being a husband is that everything starts and falls on you. But I want to say this, that the fear of failure.
Oh.
Yeah. The fear of failure. The fear of failure. That's hard. And then, what kind of young men will I raise? Am I raising? What kind of children? What will they turn up to be? Yeah, I think, and then I think the fear of failure.
The fear of failure.
That it starts and stops with you.
Yeah, that you are responsible for your family. But of course, she has helped me in many of the decisions that I've had to make in life. But just the weight of that responsibility that you've raised, not just providing for them, but in knowing that you're shaping their destiny. Yeah. And that your mistakes will be seen in your children. As you look around and you're wondering, what will my children become? What kind of families will they raise? That's scary. Of course, fear is seasonal also. What the things I feared about when I was 0 to 10 are not the things I was afraid of between 10 and 20. And now 20 and above, 21 and above, the fears are different. Yeah. Those days, there is what I was afraid of. 0 to 10, there was, you're halfway through everything, halfway through your mortgage, halfway through this, and if you lose your livelihood at that point, it's like everything you had done 0 to 10 is for nothing. Because mortgages are between maybe 15 and 25 years. You're doing this, you're going to school, all those things, and everything, you're halfway through everything. Your children are smack in the middle of school, and so a lot of your fears will be financial.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first 20 years, actually, right?
Yeah.
After 20, you don't have financial fears?
It's different because they finish school.
And then you're starting to tone down even your financial responsibilities. You realize you don't need as big a house as you thought you needed, that even the amount you're spending on feeding them has reduced significantly.
Moving away from home, living their life.
Finishing college.
Yeah, so your challenges now are no longer financial.
Or it's planning for retirement.
Exactly, and your health.
Yeah.
And how are you going to manage your health after retirement?
Eating chips?
No.
Not necessarily, just
maybe not as
lack
often.
of exercise, just several things. So I think the fears are different at different seasons in life. As I said, not to repeat myself, the things I was afraid of, 0 to 10 are not. So they keep.
And then even the
they keep
reality of
changing.
losing your spouse, Indio. You start meeting your friends who've lost their spouses
as you grow older.
as you grow old, because you're growing older.
Do you talk about death?
Yes, I think it's not a place you want to go all the time, but every so often when you lose a loved one and stuff, then you talk about it.
You start figuring out how do you
do this.
Yeah.
I remember we had a scare one time. I was very, very sick, and we talked about how much am I worth, where is everything, and how would you manage from here on. And from here is just, may God remember my sacrifice and my work. And you move on from there.
That's a very difficult one.
Yeah.
They will say, no, you are not dying in Jesus' name.
Yeah, but you can say that until you're blue in the face and people still die. I think the reality is everyone that Jesus raised back to life died again.
Oh, Lazarus died again.
Yes. The widow of Nain
Died again.
Jethro's daughter
Died
again. Yeah. So they were brought back to life. They conquered death, but they still died again.
Though the beauty sometimes of having these very dark discussions is it also helps you to appreciate that I will not always have Tony in my life, and so I need to number the days that God does give him to me, and it becomes really easy to let go of non-essentials. Okay, so what? So what? He did not say I looked nice in that dress. So what? He was upset about this. So so what? Let me just enjoy this. It is okay for him to have different ways of expressing himself. It is okay for him to like different things. It is okay for him not to think that is for him to have different priorities. It is okay, because ultimately he is the one that matters. These things, they'll be here with us for a while and they will go and they will change. See, you've moved houses, you've lost stuff, things have grown old, and then all of a sudden you realize that those things, they were nice and you enjoyed them at that time, but they were just part of the bigger story, which is the two of us. Yeah. And so it helps you then to start appreciating that this friendship really matters. Because in those early, I think 10 to 15, those early years, you're so caught up with just being and becoming. 10 years, you're thinking, oh, my friends need to know my house is nice and those kind of things. And then kidogo, the children are growing, they're going to high school, you're aging, then it becomes about everything else. But then now you start realizing these children that I love very, 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 very much. TJ is 24. In the next couple of years, he will be marrying, so will Tori is 21. The baby is 13. Now I know he's turning 12. But before I blink, he'll also be 24 and leaving. The person who constantly be with me is this guy, So this is going to be my primary relationship for a long, long time. And the fact that we've lived 27 years together, I've lived longer with him than I lived with my parents, lived longer with him than I lived with my siblings, and will continue, Lord willing, living longer with him than I live with my kids. So he will become the constant. I need to invest in this relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
The hardest part of being a wife.
The hardest part of being a wife, I don't know about other people, but for me, it was knowing that the buck does not stop with me, which is also a relief. Looking back, I'm so relieved because we can be having issues of money, and me, I sleep and dream very nicely, and I wake up and say, uko na chapa ya maziwa? I don't know which miracle I thought the Lord would have provided, but it really is not my problem. And I mean that in the best way possible. And now I've learned to relax in that. And I'm so grateful to God. But also it means that that's the nice part. But it also means that when there's a decision to be said, I can give my input, but ultimately it is his decision that will carry the day because he is the head of this home. And being a very type A person and a firstborn, yeah, and I think I was not given the personality of, I like to take charge. It took a while to adjust. I think he thinks I've not adjusted as well as I ought to have adjusted, but I have seen the growth. So for me, that just knowing that, and it's easy to mechanize, to try and manipulate, but sitting in that space of knowing that somebody else is in charge of my old self, because depending on how he will, the financial decisions he will make ultimately, because yes, I'll speak into it, but he will make them. He's in charge of my progeny, how we will raise our children. And, that took some adjustment. Yeah.
If you are speaking...
You cannot be married, by the way. You cannot... If you choose to be a wife, you must choose to be a wife. And maybe, again, I'm speaking to someone out there who's thinking of getting married. This thing we're told of submission, it is for your good. It really is. And if you're not willing to submit, then please don't get married. Because you will do it willingly or unwillingly. If you're truly married to a true man, he will take the lead. Because that is what he was created to be. And every time when you stand in the way of that, yes, you can speak to it, but ultimately, doesn't matter his personality or what. Inside every man is a man. Inside every man, I don't know how else to put it. Inside every man is a man. And that man will come out. And you can help him to emerge. You can try to stand in the way, eventually he will emerge. And I think that's why there's so many issues. You try to demasculinize him, you try to put him down, eventually he will arise. That was what he was created to be. So early on, just accept, if I'm choosing to be a wife, I'm choosing to be a wife. The adjustments will take some time, but the willingness must be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. Now looking back, I'm like, why was I even carrying those mzigos? I was not created to carry. I just needed to take a chill pill. Yeah? Because I have seen where I have been brought and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does submission look like from a man's perspective?
Yes.
You're really waiting for that answer too. Talk to us women.
The ability to listen.
Oh.
Yeah. The ability to hear what that person is saying. Yeah. And submission, I think in totality, is just knowing that you're here. Your heart, your soul is here. Here. You're not halfway here and halfway back in your mother's house. And most women today, I would say, their body is here, but their heart and mind is elsewhere. Or you're trying to figure out, there are all these marriages that are failing. So I'm here, but I have a plan B at the back of my mind. If this thing doesn't work, this is where I'm
going.
Yeah, I have a plan B out of this union. And when your heart is not totally there, then the chances of it working are zero. So I think for me, submission is not slavery where you do everything I say, or you're a servant to me. It's just the fact that you're here. Are you totally sold out? Do you think of this person even as in, are you here? Are you here? Mind, body and soul, are you here? Am you're 1 foot in and 1 foot elsewhere?
Oh, that was simple but very deep. The ability to listen. What is love? For men, what is love?
What is love?
Loving your wife as Christ loved the church.
I think it's prioritizing them. Truly prioritizing them. And prioritizing them does not mean you have to be there for every qualm. Is that every decision you're making, you're putting into consideration how that will affect this person, how that will affect her dreams, her aspirations, her reason for being. Yeah, that, I think that's it. Just because if you prioritize a person, you'll be able to also share with them their dreams, because it is important for them to be part of that journey. So you're not just coming to tell her the tail end. Yeah, you're making her part of this process with you. Yeah. So and then if you prioritize a person, you'll open up your life to them so that they're part. And I think that is the biggest cry for every wife. You want to be part of this person's being and journey. And sometimes you may not go along it well, but, and I've had people come and ask me, why am I not insecure? Do I worry about him leaving me? And I've always been surprised, because it's something, again, I've never thought about. But now, even as we're having this conversation, I realize it's because I know he loves me. It's because I know that I'm a priority for him. And so I don't have to fight for my own space, because the space was created for me. So if I see him standing with a person who's more beautiful, who's more learned, who's more whatever, my first thought is like, oh, Ndachwa, it's never that, ever, ever. Why? Because I know that this is my friend. He sees me, and he's seen me when I was young and fly. He's seen me as I'm aging. He's like wine, hallelujah. Anyway, he's seen me in the good, the bad. He's seen me getting the children. I mean, it doesn't get as bad as that. And he's stuck with me because he chooses me. I don't take that for granted. There's a time maybe I thought I deserved it, but now I know that it's because daily he chooses me. He chooses me to be part of his journey, and he chooses me to be part of his priority. And for me, that is loving somebody. Yeah.
That is love.
That is love.
How does healthy conflict look like here?
It is healthy. Do we have healthy conflict? No, that's a tricky question. We are both given to truth. I don't know how healthy it is, but I can tell you what is unhealthy. I think holding back. When we were younger, I used to think we're the only couple that fights. And again, Pastor Tony alleged to foolishness. So maybe our fighting was extra foolish, particularly from my end. But I think both of us made a decision to be fully present in this marriage. And so we came the way we were. God has grown us in this space. Some of us faster than others, but we've both grown in this space, so that the way we fight now is not necessarily how we fought before. But I don't think we ever have shied away from having conflict. And I think that has helped us. Because if conflict is there, we don't try to sweep it under the carpet, Cindy. We don't try to pretend it does not exist. I'm sure sometimes we wish one of us is wishing the other one would pretend, or maybe even our children are wishing we'd pretend. But dealing with it as it comes has helped us, because then we have not had things layered, so that you are carrying hearts of many years. Tunadilingi nazo mapema, hapo pope. As we've aged, we've realized, let me say as I've aged, because he will speak for himself. But as I've aged, I've also realized that not everything has to be talked about. Some things you can let go. And also that sometimes it won't be resolved there. And that sometimes it's best not to necessarily address it there. Just chill a bit, and that is very hard for me. And we can talk about it after a week. That he has had to teach me. Yeah, I'm saying, I'm talking about process. I'm talking about process, hatujafika. But I'm slowly learning that there's something si lazima nimwambie sayo, because vile nitaisema sayo will not add value to the issue. But ultimately, I think healthy conflict is about separating yourselves from the issue. We have an issue. I can tell you how I feel about it, but I cannot attack how you feel about it, because I don't know. Those feelings are yours, and they're valid. But I can only present what I think the issue is and how it affects me. And then we deal with the issue. But many times we attack each other. You don't love me. You don't care. You're so inconsiderate. You're so stupid. Or whatever. Yeah? As opposed to, this made me feel like you don't care. Yeah.
First of all, conflict is healthy.
Oh, all conflict is healthy.
Yeah, conflict is healthy. If there's no conflict, there's someone who's pretending. Yeah. Someone is pretending. You cannot agree on everything.
Even when we've lived for 27 years.
There will always, because there is not only one way of looking at an issue. It's not possible.
Yeah.
There is not only one way looking at an issue. For example, there's that example that is given. When you look at an elephant, somebody will see the size, and the other one will see the trunk, the other one will see the big ears, the other one will see the hanging stomach, the short tail, and it's a big animal, or the big feet. You know, we will all see different things, but we all see an elephant. So it's not possible for us to see things the same way, however long we have lived together. So that's number one. And that's conflict right there.
Yeah.
Because there's not only one way of driving this thing. Yeah. So huyu anaona this is the best or this is the preferred. So kila mtu ana opinion yake. So that's number one. Number two, you only fight for what you think is of great value. You fight for what you want to keep. Yeah. If there's nothing to fight for,
You won't fight.
if there is nothing that is of value, then there's nothing to fight, worth fighting for. Yeah, you only fight for something that is of value. Because you want to keep it, then you fight. And we've had many couples around us who, some close, some not, who their marriages have gone south. And at the point where you stop fighting, for me, it tells me that this thing is no longer of any value. Yeah, it has no value. So you don't want to fight for it. Yeah. Value is what diminishes first. And then you have no reason to fight. So you're no longer angry about anything. Yeah. So even though
You don't care.
Whatever, man. Ki sera sera. As in, I don't care anymore. But if I cared, I would say something about that, because that's not how I like things done. Yeah, and so we fight so that we fight. We fight so that we find compromise. And I repeat, we fight so that we find compromise, and then because we care. And once we have found compromise, then we go together. Amos 3:3 says, "How can two walk together unless they agree?" Now, because this is a round peg and this is a square hole, we must adjust the corners here, and that adjustment is painful, so that it fits, and then we can turn that wheel and move on. And so fighting is healthy, but fighting healthy is also fighting knowing that you are not there to hurt the other person, and your way is not always the best. Yeah, there are many things I know that she does better. She processes better. And she makes her decisions quicker than I do. And
But
so
your decisions are better most of the time.
it has both, because there's not all the time that you will have to take a week for you to make a decision. There are certain decisions that you must make quickly, but there are others that will linger. So of course, the decisions that you must make quickly, but you take forever, zinapitwa na wakati. So there we lose. So it's in that sense that you create a balance between the two of you, between the two of us. And so I think that's what the listeners, if there's anything I'd want to say to them, and I'd wish that they don't forget from what we shared today, is that when you stop fighting, you start dying. That relationship begins to die. Yeah. And fighting is a sign of health. Yeah.
Because at least you're still fighting.
There's
movement.
No. You fight for something you value.
Yeah.
Exactly. Is it still worth fighting for? If the point where you no longer care, you stop.
And I think there needs to be a distinction we're not talking about fighting each other.
Physically,
It's learning about, it's learning not to fight each other, but to fight the issues. And sometimes some of these issues will be emotive about. You think the child should go to this school, he thinks the child should go to another school. You think the child should be brought up this way. They think those are things which are close to people's hearts. You want your home to be run in a certain way, he wants his home. So those adjustments will be there and they will bring conflict. Just learning, maturity is learning to recognize what is the issue and separate the issue from the person, so that even if they're coming at you very emotionally, you recognize first it's because they care, others they wouldn't put up. And then what is really the issue? Because sometimes emotions cloud. And God is gracious. Oftentimes one of you will be more emotional than the other. So instead of you now raising up to their bait, it's just escalating and asking myself what really is going on here, and learning how you both deal with stuff. Like Pastor Tony would rather hear, wait, process, talk about it. Me, the more I talk about it, the more I'm processing. When I'm quiet, I'm processing nothing. So learning now to adjust. Yeah, if I'm quiet, I'm quiet. I've moved on to something else. But the more I'm telling you, the more it's becoming clearer for me. So allowing each other the space to process how you process. Because where else is this person going to go to do that? Yeah.
And then I think it's important for not to compare.
Yeah.
Don't compare your husband to another man because he's not them.
Yeah.
Don't compare your wife with somebody else because they are not.
And they're not your spouse. This is the one you have.
The circumstances here are very, very different. Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have today. There is comparison. And then the other challenge that I have seen over the years is that we read all these marriage books that are written from the West.
That's why I'm telling you to write. We want yours.
That are written in the West. Now, the culture in the West is different.
Oh, yes.
The principles stand, but the principles are built on culture.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people keep saying, I'm reading the book, not necessarily for everything else, but the principles, because the principles stand. But it's important to remember this. The principle does not exist. It's drawn from a culture. That principle is drawn from a culture.
Exists in the culture.
Within a culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That culture does not apply to us. A white American man is different from a black American man, African man.
African man.
Now, a black Luo man and a black Kikuyu man
Are different or challenging. Yeah.
An African, a black Kalenjin man, because they are Kalenjin men who are white. Baba yake ni mzungu. Na mama yake ni, so mama yake ni mzungu, baba yake ni mkalenjin. Huyo jamaa ni mzungu. So kuna kauzungu pale. But me, I'm talking about a black Kalenjin man or Kamba man. There are certain biases. And then someone who grew up in the city and someone who grew up in the village. Those are totally different worlds. Even how they look at life, how they look at women, how they look at children, because our upbringing is critical in how we, even our emotion. Exactly. Let me give you an example. Funerals. Death is death. Death is death. But how people mourn in Kamba and how people mourn in Luya land. Maze umeenda kwa mazishi ya Mkamba ama Mkikuyu, upike kuku na nyama choma na kukuwe na band. Watu wanashangaa kwani mlifurahia mededi?
Oh.
Maze kwani alikuwa mwasumbua aje?
They do that.
Aliwasumbua aje? Lakini yenda Luya land.
Hebu
peleka culture ya Wakamba na Wakikuyu Luya land. The people will be like, kwani amuku mnapenda huyu mtu? Yeni hata hakuna ng'ombe imechinjwa. Amuku chinja ng'ombe, hakuna hata kuku moja, hakuna kitu, hakuna chakula, hakuna band, watu wa dance usiku, watu wa bambiki, watu wa javaa suti za Kijaluo, kuja harusi yani. Kwanza alizikwa tu ati amekufa Wednesday akazikwa Friday. Kwani huyu mtu amuku mnampenda, mnamtupa? Sisi Wakikuyu mnachanga jamaa alikufa Monday, mnataka weekend ipite. Hazikuwa Friday. Hazikuwa Friday tuende weekend in amani.
Kama watu
Kama tumesahau hii story. You understand what I'm saying? So, can you imagine now?
Yeah.
That's how emotive death is.
So you can imagine a Luo girl or a Luo girl getting married to a Kikuyu man and they've lost a child. Already that is
conflict, right?
Conflict.
So tutamzika Friday ama tutaka watu wa Ukikuyuni wanakuja wanashanga
what are we doing?
Ati mnachinja ng'ombe.
So kwa nini mnatuitisha pesa na mko nazo za kuchinja hizi vitu zote?
Mnachinja sijui ng'ombe 3, sijui ng'ombe 4. Wakikuyu wanaona na meno. Washangaa sasa hizi ndio gani? Kwani mlikuwa mnangoja adae ndio mkuwe na bash. Si mkikao tu na bash kabla adae. But you see, that's how different we are and how different we process things. Now, somebody from the West atakuja asema hizi ni nonsense. What do you mean ni nonsense? Hiyo ndio culture zetu. Hiyo ndio culture yetu. So you can't trash our culture. That's how we mourn. Yeah. If we haven't done this, we haven't mourned. In fact, if they don't do that, they will go for counseling. Oh, yeah. Kama ng'ombe hazikukufa, hawa Jaluo lazima wataenda counseling. Jumazi hawakumourn. Hawana closure. Wataanza kufeel nikawa wamefinyiliwa juu ng'ombe haikukufa. Lazima ng'ombe ikufe ndio wasiende counseling.
Yeah.
Huko kwa Kikuyu ukipeleka ng'ombe itabidi wapeleke counseling.
It's the opposite.
Sasa hizi ndio gani? Exactly. So
culture, now, the books we are reading.
Yeah, and you see, like
so
for
this
marriage.
This book is written in the West. And their perception of death is different. Perception of life is different.
Perception of date.
Perception of dating and romance is different. So we read books, and those books now inform how we should run a marriage in a very totally different environment and space. Yeah, no wonder. Sometimes, if you sit down with many of the couples who their marriages have failed, there's a lot of Western culture into it. Oh, you know me, I can't take this. Oh, you know. But now when you sit with them after and they start telling you, you know, I read this book and there's this principle that resonated with me. And then you're like, okay, but that, you know, that principle comes from a certain culture here. And so it's a bias. Sasa umesoma, umekuwa jungunized. Sasa umeanza kuadopt ile culture. Sasa umeleta mpaka kwa marriage in terms of how we process stuff. And you get what I'm saying? So a couple here is fighting. Mi nataka tujenge hao ya ushago first. We are living in a rented house. But me, I want us to build in the village first. The wife is saying, let's build a house in the city first. So that we don't pay rent here.
And so the kids can enjoy.
And we don't go to Ushago every day.
Yeah, but you see, there are greater things than rent. Sentimental value. Kwa boma yetu hakujawahi kuwa na nyumba ya mawe.
Ama wengine wameshajenga.
Na sisi bado. Maze, for me to be a man, to be recognized as a man, to feel like I am a human being, like my efforts counted, lazima kwanza nijenge kitu Ushago. Na ni furnish, yani nikiingia huko sasa nasikia yes. Yani, you see, it might not necessarily make economic sense.
Yeah.
It might not make white man sense, but it makes
me happy.
Community sense.
And it makes you happy.
Yeah. And then there's someone who says that when I first start, the first thing I'll do is I'll build for my mother. So this girl comes into the picture and she's like, why are we building for your mother? Even me, I'm a woman, you build for me first.
And they also have a mother.
And me, foolishness. Foolishness. First of all, uliolewa, dada. Uliolewa. Huku ndio kwenyu. Ukidai hautazikwa kwa madhako.
Or it could even be different, that the guy comes from a wealthy family and wants to build, but every money was put to educate you. And now you have made a vow to yourself, when I get married, I will want to
build.
Buy a place for my mom, because there are people in this country who don't have awana ushago. And I believe in Kenya, maybe someone who's out of this country may not know or may not understand what it means like not to have an ushago, because ushago is your identity. So you grew up and your grandparents, even them, they lived kwa plot za tao ushago. Unaget? So you've said, the day I'll get a job, I'll buy a home and
tutakuwa na identity.
Then you get married to this guy again who's feeling what Pastor Tony was saying. You got married, what, and they nullify your dreams. I think what we're trying to say here is, first and foremost, we all live within a culture, but we all have subcultures, and your home becomes your subculture. And in our home, all dreams are valid. So you're able to sit down and say, this is where I'm coming from, and this is my argument. And he can say, and this is where I'm coming from, and this is our argument. So how do we go around this? I'll give you an example. When we got married, we grew up in the city. So there are certain things which are obvious. First and foremost, I never even used to remember. I like stories. You come to my house and I'm giving you a story. I'm not even remembering that people take tea. Tony had grown up with desiring to go to someone's house, and the meal I will have in that house may be the only meal I ever have. So he's very conscious of feeding people. It's very important to him that when people come to our home, they find something to eat. So
not a snack, food.
Yeah, food, and mtu atatoka ameshiba.
Because labda kule anaenda atapata kakitu anaweza labda the next meal ni kwa jirani mwingine at some point.
Even when we have people coming to do repair work, he's like, mwapatia food. And me used to be like, lakini sasa tuna food za wageni. Tunajua in Africa kuna food za wageni, kuna githeri yenyu, maybe ugali na sukuma na mala, alafu kuna food ya wageni, makuku manini. He's like, let me tell you, Carole, food is food. For that man, that ugali and mala may be heaven. Just give them something to eat. So what did we used to do at the beginning? Because I'll get caught up with the story and forget he'd go and make tea and bring. And then that would be a code. I'd be like, oh, okay, that means. And then he'd be looking at me now after the chai, those ones of, it's going towards lunchtime, do something. We had a code. But then our marriage, we are not a bubble. Because again, this is Africa. So we are not individualistic. We live in a community. So when we go up country, vitu vichenjanga. So I had to quickly adopt that I cannot be sitting there and waiting for Pastor Tony to bring me a cup of tea. He has no issue. By the way, as much as I like to cook, he's a far greater cook. He trained. He doesn't do it much these days, but at the beginning he used to, because he needed to teach me some things for me to catch up. Now, when we go to Shags, I morph. I become a wife of the village. So he will sit and he will start, Shiro. And now I have to know what that Shiro means. So I bring tea. Then Shiro, is there? I bring. And then I come and ask, do you want to eat this and that? When it's at home, if I ask Pastor Tony, do you want to eat this and that? He gets so upset. Like, if I wanted to eat, I'd go and bring. But now we're in a different setting, understand? And we have to morph to that setting, because that is why, I realize not trying to fight to get my relatives to recognize is very, it's unnecessary. So I just moved because I chose him, I married him, and his people became my people. So we have to realize that because I got married to him, and his people became my people.
Yes.
I cannot, and these have become such issues of conflict, because that's never going to be covered in a white book. They don't understand that perspective. They don't understand. Like, we tried the first time we got married, I think year 1 or year 2, we decided now a baby has come, but this marriage is bigger than the baby. We have to go for date night. I think that was the worst date we've ever done in our life. We went there and both of us just wanted to be home with our baby. But the white man's book was telling us that, our marriage has to be their priority. We need to have date nights. So we went to Kangaliana. So we have to have a good time. Yeah.
But our mind.
Then we just said, are you missing the baby? I said, yes, I'm missing the baby. Are you missing the baby? Yes. So what are we doing here? We're heading home. We packed for us the food. We went, got our baby who is now 24, put him in the bed next to us, and then we had our date there. We ate our food there, watched a movie with our baby. We were happy.
Yeah.
So we had to ask, what does spending time together look like in our context?
In this season.
And I think it's important to remember this. You marry a girl who grew up in the city of Nairobi. You might as well have married someone who lived in New York. As in, you marry this girl in Nairobi, she doesn't even speak her own mother tongue. She has no idea what culture is.
Oh, your culture is.
Yeah, and then this guy is from Shags. So it's a guy from Shags who's married a girl from the city. And right there, that's conflict. Because this guy grew up traditional. And this girl grew up liberal.
Yes.
And so this girl might as well be Muzungu.
Yeah.
Yeah, she might as well be white. So right there, just because she's black doesn't mean she's a Shags girl or she's African.
Or she's being proud.
She just doesn't know. So those are some of the cultural challenges that we are facing in this generation because they met in university.
Yes.
Huyu alienda Rusinga, huyu alienda Maranda. Rusinga na Maranda ni kaa day and night. It's black and white. You might as well be from the US. The culture in Rusinga and the culture is, you get what I'm saying? Wamekutana Nairobi University wanafanya medicine. But mimi nakuambia hao watu wawili, one might as well be Russian and the other one Spanish. As in yani the difference. Now, if all you did in your dates is discuss the seats at Java and the sausage texture, that's absolute nonsense. Yeah, and catch rubs because you are struggling Christians. As in Maze, that marriage is destined to doom. In those dates, you should be discussing, by the way, what was your culture? How did you grow up? How do you see issues of child wewe ulienda Rusinga?
Mtoto wetu ataenda wapi shule?
Alafu mjamaa anashangaa, mimi nitoe pesa
French
zangu
kulipa French
nipeleke mtoi Rusinga.
Kama French school.
Akitoka huko anatoka na plot. Akitoka huko anatoka na title deed. Hiyo class nimelipa hizo pesa zote, atatoka na part of the title deed ya hiyo shamba. Msichana anasema no, education is important. The guy is like, I went to Maranda or wherever school in the village. Now I made it to med school. Why are we spending a foot and arm and both legs for education at Watakutana University? You get what I'm saying? The guy is wondering. Our boss at work, the head doctor, went to Turukana boys. Seriously? So
And a polling station for Primo.
exactly. They had no roof, what? And he's wondering, this guy made it to, he was 0-0, as in he first class honors in med. He's our boss. When a Rusinga yako, how come you didn't make first class honors in med school? You get what I'm saying?
And maybe the girl was raised where the parents sacrificed everything for the education.
Exactly. So those are serious conflict issues that have broken marriages, that we need to come together and talk about those things even before you get married. Those are important things. And that's why we recommend that you don't get married in 3 months. Because in 3 months, you don't have time to talk about serious issues. At least 6 months minimum. Ndio, at least muonge, you know, before muambiane, I like your hairstyle. Let's talk about important things.
Money.
How are we going to deal with our money? How are we going to deal with our in-laws? If you're going to buy a house, where will it be? You know, which one is value and why village and why not the city? You know, where are we going? Both of us have homes we have paid for because you got married in your 30s or in your 40s. So tutaishi kwa nyumba ya nani, tutoke kwa nani. Kuna jamaa aligrow Nairobi ajali ati hii hailibewa na demu wake. Yeye ataenda tu
mother-in-law.
But kuna wajamaa wengine wanasema niishi kwako
They are here.
So what will be next? So the next thing is I will now become Mr. Moshoki. I'll take her maiden name.
Mr. Wanjiro.
I'll be Mr. Wanjiro now. Hizo ndio gani hakuna. Hata kama wewe umenunua haona mimi naishi kwa rented. There is no way nakuja tuishi kwako. Because in my culture, my village will think I got married to this woman. It's not the man who moves into.
Or you've had a bad experience where your mother made more money and mistreated your father, and so you're like, I'm not going to be sat on. So these are not discussions that you should have when you're married. These are discussions that you need to have before, and that's why for us, our dating was not exciting. We weren't going to Mombasa first and foremost because we didn't want to sin and we didn't understand we can be Mombasa in this beautiful climate and still honor God with everything we had because we were attracted to each other. So we sat down with a pen and paper most of our days, and we'd talk about some of these very fundamental issues. How do you feel about this? What is important to you? What do you want your child to do? Where's the place of education? How do you have debt? Do you have responsibilities that you'll bring into this marriage? If you are the one that your parents look up to, you're paying school fees for your siblings, your spouse to be needs to know, so that they're not thinking this guy makes 200 or 50,000, 950,000 year two. Ajuange actually you're making 50,000, but then you need 10 because I have prior responsibilities, and vice versa. You know, because she could be the one who has prior responsibilities. What are the things that you're most passionate about? You know, those what Pastor Tony is saying, would you live, if I made more money, how would that look like to you? Do you have issues about that? If, you know, etc., etc. One of you wants to retire in Mombasa, the other one wants to retire up country. It may look like it's not an issue, but when you're the age we're in now, it becomes a real issue because you're going to invest money there. So those kind of things are important, and we believe that that's what you should be doing when you're dating. The chips will come, the movies will come, and it will make it easier because you have dealt with the fundamentals. So the rest of your marriage life is na kuenjoy zile vitu watu walikuwa kifanyanga kama wana date, sasa nyinyi mnafanya mko married because you did the things that you ought to have done. You did your homework.
Amen. As we wind up, now that you lead a congregation, how do we as the church, how are we expected to handle people whose marriages who have divorced in our congregation without endorsing divorce, but still being there for them?
Salvation is not based on marriage. So even when the people come to church, it's important to remember that we don't go to heaven because we are married. We go to heaven because we are born again. So those are the fundamentals. But then life happens. So for me, my primary responsibility is to remind them what the Bible says. Number one, God hates divorce. He doesn't hate you. He hates divorce. Yeah. So if you're divorced, God still hates that act. He doesn't hate you. Can you still serve God and you're divorced? Yes.
Can I still be in leadership in church?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because leadership is not subject to marriage. Yeah. Of course, there is certain level of leadership.
Like marriage ministry.
Yeah, but I also have a responsibility to remind you that this is what the Bible says. Yeah.
And this is my take on divorce. The reason God says he hates divorce is not because he wants to punish you or let you stay in this painful space. It's because God is in the process of transforming people. You see, when you get born again in God and you have given lordship of your life to Jesus Christ, it becomes, the Bible says, it is no longer I who lives, but Christ that lives in me. So God begins a work within me to cleanse out all these my issues. So supposing we were married and we got divorced and went our separate ways, God is still at work in you, God is still at work in me. Not marrying again leaves this door open so that if God heals you and makes you who you ought to be, and heals me and makes me who I ought to be, then there's still room for reconciliation. But when we remarry, for instance, that door is shut. That door is shut. Because when God molds me and makes me, I cannot go back there because there's somebody else that has come to the picture. That's
so now we're talking about divorce and remarriage.
And now divorce itself, I think, a lot of the reason why there's rise in divorce is because, one, I honestly believe people don't do their homework. So many of us as believers, we start dating, we're overwhelmed by the sexual feelings and the sexual tension among us. We start dabbling in sin, catching rubs and doing what? And then depending on how far gone we're into that, we start thinking, hey, either if we've had sexual sin, we want to sanctify it and want to justify it in our heads and say, even if this is the only person I slept with and now they're my spouse. So you marry to sanctify the sin. You understand? Or you've been doing stuff you're uncomfortable with, and now that has clouded you and you just want to marry. Because the truth of the matter is it reaches a point in that dating life where the sexual tension is a lot and you need to honor God and you choose to get married. And the Bible does say, And if you're burning, get married, you see. But you have not dealt with fundamental issues. You didn't take time to do your homework. And I always say, and this was very important for me as a girl, before I engaged my heart, I engaged my head. How? I knew what I wanted, what were the bare minimums for me. I'm surprised by the number of people who date and they don't even understand their own bare minimums. They don't have a bare minimum. For me, it didn't matter. After my first boyfriend was a Muslim, after that I said I will never ever date somebody else who is not a Christian. Full stop. Didn't matter whether you are Adonis or you look like Brad Pitt or Tony Kiama or whatever. If you came into my space, are you born again? No. There's no. How will my heart engage? And I won't spend time with you.
Yeah.
So what is your bare minimum? And what are you looking for? You know, because those bare minimums are not going to change. So I think there's a lot of divorce because people are not doing their homework. People want to sanctify, and then people are just basically selfish. There's no perfect person. I must be willing to give Tony space. Yes, he's my best friend. Yes, I'd rather be with him than any other person in this world. But there are times when I'd rather not be with him, period. There are times when he's going to upset me. There are times when I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? But it is okay. He's a person. He has a right to have a different belief. And I have to give him the room to become, because he's in the process of being transformed into Christ-likeness. But we don't look at, we think marriage is a place of arriving. By the way, if you've not been married, you're dating and looking forward to getting married, let me tell you, marriage is a school. It's a place of refining. You are preparing each other for Jesus. So it is a ministry. So that when I look at Tony, sometimes I have to remind myself, this is a guy who's a work in progress, just like I am a work in progress. The person he is today is not the person who's going to be tomorrow. And I have to give the Spirit of God room to work in that. Yeah. So I think if we took care of those three things, if we forgave as easily as we are forgiven, if we took time to really know the person, because it saddens me really, Rodah, that people take 20 years in school to prepare for a career that they'll do for another 20 years. And they take less than a year to prepare for a person they'll be for the next 50, 60, 70 years. That is stupid. You need to prepare to be married. And even though I was young, I got married at 24, I had spent many years preparing myself for this person, thinking that I don't want to do this. Because even at a young age, I knew this was hard. But by the time I made the decision, it wasn't a heart decision, it was also a head decision. But many of us don't get married our head, we get married our body and our heart. And then we get inside there and we're like, oops. But the beauty is that doesn't matter how you got it. The Bible doesn't say marry your girl, love husbands, love your girlfriends, or wives submit to your boyfriend. It says to your husband, however you got into that institution, if you surrender it to Christ, I believe that God can turn it into something amazing and beautiful, because that is what God does. Yeah. So divorce is like kind of giving up on God, not just your spouse, but also giving up on God's ability to transform this thing you're in into something beautiful and worthwhile.
Is there a valid reason for divorce?
The scriptures say, the discourse between Jesus and the Pharisees, he said that the only reason why, in fact, Matthew 19 verse 8, he told them, I was because of your hardness of heart. It was because of the hardness of your heart that Moses allowed you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it was not this way. And I want to say that there's no sin.
What is that reason that Moses gave? Infidelity.
Infidelity.
Right? Yeah.
You see, what Moses was saying, the connotation is that infidelity is an unforgivable sin. That if your husband or wife falls in infidelity, then that's unforgivable. That is unforgivable. In Matthew, the Bible says is forgive so that you shall be forgiven. So if you do not forgive, then you also shall not be forgiven.
Hardness of heart.
Yeah, and that's why scripture here says that the only reason Moses allowed
divorce,
it is because of the hardness of your heart. That people their hearts were so hardened that they were not willing to forgive.
Even to repent.
Or to repent. So huyu amekataa kurepent, huyu amekataa kuforgive. Na sasa tukirudi pale kwa scripture, the purposes of God is to reconcile. So we are saying that there are certain levels you get to that it is irreconcilable because of infidelity. And God takes marriage so seriously that he says that marriage should be unbreakable. Matthew 19 and verse 6, it says this in the ISV. It says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together. So it's important for you, just to that point, to remember that this relationship was joined by God. Ni God aliwashikanisha. It's you who dated, you asked, she said yes. But that union, when it was consummated, God is in that picture. So it is God who has joined them together. And so he concludes by saying, man must never separate. That's God's purposes. Marriage is supposed to be for life. And so there's a stand I have, and I've been accused of being radical or unrealistic, where the Bible says that someone who is divorced should, if a man, Luke 16:18, and I think, I know you're concluding, and this will be my concluding statement. Luke 16:18, the Bible says this, any man who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery, which means if you marry someone who's divorced,
You commit adultery.
You commit adultery, present continuous. So you are living in an adulterous relationship. So the only way to get out of an adulterous relationship is to get out of this mess. You watch your divorced person. You go back. You either stay single or you go back to your husband or wife, because that's God's purpose. Now, that's a very, very difficult gospel.
Yes, it's
but
difficult.
But that's the gospel either way.
Because I will be asked, so you want me to remain single for the rest of my life?
Hiyo ni neno, si mimi. Mimi si kuandika Bible. Mimi niliikuta. Na muambia watu hivi, wapendwa, hii word si buffet. You don't pick what you want and leave what you don't want. You take it all or take none. The word of God is not a buffet where you take what you want. Yeah, and so if you're living with someone who's divorced, if you remarried, and that someone is divorced, then know this. You are living in an adulterous relationship. Because that's what the Bible says here. A man who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery. So that's an adulterous relationship. And the man who marries a woman divorced from her husband commits adultery. As in, he repeats again. Commits adultery. Commits adultery. Present, continuous. So for me, it's not for me to tell you what to do. Wewe chagua vile unataka kufanya. Heaven si kwangu. Heaven si kwangu. Ule ana funguo ya heaven. Ule anasemaga knock and Revelations 3:20. Ule mwenye funguo ya mbinguni. Sasa wewe ndio utaamua kule unataka kuenda. Because people who commit adultery don't go to heaven. I know God forgives. But for you to be forgiven, you must walk away from sin. Just because there is grace doesn't mean you should continue sinning. So we amua. Kama unataka kwenda heaven, word ndio hiyo. Lakini kama hutaki kwenda heaven, pia maisha ni yako mpendwa.
Would you rather I sleep around?
Who's saying you should sleep around?
I would rather you just choose to love the Lord.
I'd rather you just
choose to love the Lord.
Choose to love the Lord.
That is very
why is it an option?
Because let me tell you, being a Christian is about cost. Being a Christian is about cost. I mean, must I stay with Tony? What if I want to have experience? The other people outside there. Monogamy is overrated. There'll always be
marriage is a scam.
The marriage is a scam. There'll always be a reason to pursue the flesh.
Yeah.
But Christianity is about asking Jesus to be Lord over your life. And I'm saying this carefully because I have friends who their spouse was totally in the wrong, treated them badly, was totally unrepentant, was the one with the hardening of the heart, and left. But what does the Bible expect? Because he who called you is faithful. And listen, sometimes we put up marriage as a God. But you know there'll be no marriage in heaven. We'll all be married to Jesus. That's a sad reality. So when you lose your spouse and you think you'll go there to have a jolly good time as his wife, he will be your brother in the Lord. That is a hard gospel to hear, but it is the gospel. So marriage is for here. We will enjoy it here. We will enjoy it. There's space here. And then we will go. Ultimately, our true husband, our true spouse is Jesus Christ. And everything I do, everything I am, those are just roles. I mean, everything I do are roles. Whether I'm a wife or a mother or a pastor or a what, those are roles that the Lord has entrusted me with. Who I am is a child of God. And my first loyalty must be to God. It's not to Tony, it's not to my children, it's not to my country, it is to God.
Yeah.
And every day there'll be something that will come to test my loyalty. And that's why God came and asked Abraham of the thing that meant the most to him. And it also had to bow down to the Lordship of God. And for me, at the bottom line is Jesus Lord. Because is it the Lord of everything or is Lord of nothing?
It's not a buffet.
So if you want to sleep around, Jehovah anaona.
You must sleep
You
around
deal
to
with it.
enjoy.
Chaguo ni lako.
Yeah.
Wow. Marriage is not a scam. 27 years of marriage looks like this. You guys look lovely. And we are praying that you continue celebrating years and years in marriage as the light and the salt of this institution.
By the way, there's no perfect marriage. Akunaga.
Akunanga.
There's no
Hata
perfect
kama ni
marriage.
bishop.
Akunaga perfect marriage.
There's only
They're
perfect
human
wife.
beings.
There's only perfect wife. Anyway.
So there are no perfect marriages.
There are no perfect marriages.
And there are no marriages that are the same as the other. So you drive yours and this one drives theirs.
Yeah.
Kwa neema na huruma
Za Mwenyezi Mungu.
that we shall make it to the finish line. In Jesus' name.
Oh.
And they are not perfect people.
What is a successful marriage? Sorry.
A successful marriage? Are there successful marriages?
Of course.
They're marriages. I think they are marriages. They're just marriages, not successful.
What is the mark of a
successful marriage? And I think the mark of a successful marriage are two things. Number one, you must be friends. If you lose the friendship over the years, you can continue being married because you made a choice. But I thank God by His grace and mercy. I'm not here just because I made a choice. I'm actually here happily. Yeah, but there are people who are together 27, 30, 50 years and they're not happy. And it is okay. God will give them the grace. But I think a successful marriage to me is where you actually, there's freedom for you to be the best version of who God created for you to be. And people can see Jesus in the marriage.
I think I'd put it this way. I wouldn't use the word successful. I would put it as a working marriage.
A working marriage. Oh, okay.
A working?
Functional marriage.
Yeah. Because today we might be very, very happy. Then tomorrow we have some challenges and we are not very happy.
Yeah.
But we are still married. So we keep it functional. Yeah.
So it's, I guess, a marriage that's surrendered to Christ, right? It's a Christ-centered.
Christ-centered,
That's it. Because Christ is one who gives you joy even when you're not happy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not as successful, not functional, but as Christ-centered marriage. At least there we are.
It's successful.
They have agreed we are ending. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to read the first comment on this video. All ladies, all women, you are invited for the Refresh.
ROG Refresh Women's Conference 2025.
The God of the impossible. See you there and thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being on the show today. God bless you. Marriage works.